This is how we assemble the city slide. First thing you want to do is take the cardboard box or the lid that the slide came in and use it as protection so that you don't scratch up the acrylic surface. Second step is go ahead and take the flume parts and set them upside down on the cardboard. Next step, check the gasket for its integrity. Make sure it's not torn or missing. Then once you've got that done, we're going to put the two flume halves together. So all you have to do is simply align the holes in the flumes. Okay, I'm going to zero in here a little bit. And then what you do is you take a bolt and a washer. Oh, excuse me. First we're going to put some anti-seize on that bolt. Now these stainless steel bolts, you really have to remember to put the anti-seize on or they will seize. So put it on and then put the washer on, just like that. And then slip it through the holes in the flange. Now it helps to put the first bolt in just like that, one of the center ones. Then on the other side you take another flat washer and a nut. A flat washer, a lock washer, and then a nut. Go ahead and just hand tighten them up at this point. And then you basically repeat that process for the other bolt holes. Now, a little trick is to go ahead and use a pair of vice grips, just like that. All right. Okay, the next step in the assembly process is to do the pre-assembly on the handrails. So you take the handrail, just like that, and then you're going to take a bolt, and a little trick is to take one of the little washers and slip it onto the bolt like that. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, then you take the white flat insert, slip it over the bolt like that. Now there's a little insert that goes inside of that. You take the smooth side up. It's got little threads in it, so you thread it onto the bolt. Just like that. Okay. Then you take the whole assembly and you slip it into the end of the handrail. Take a wrench and just tighten that nut up, that bolt up. And what you're doing is you're expanding that little insert inside the larger insert so it holds it in place inside the end of the handrail. Just like that. Then just change your wrench and back that bolt out. Takes just a little bit of work. Now this method is a lot easier than trying to yank on the end of the bolt. Now what you're going to find out is that those inserts are firmly inside the end of the handrail. And then you repeat the process on the other end of the handrail. Now what you're going to do is there are 4 spacers that you're going to use in on the handrail, between the handrail and the slide. And what you're going to do, let me zoom in just a little bit more. You've got one that has a rounded end, and you slip that into one end of it. And there's one with a flat end, and that goes on the other end. So each one of those spacers has both a round and a flat. So there you go. That's the 4 spacers, just like that. Okay. Okay, the next step in the assembly process is to reach down under the slide and take off the white protective caps from the leg spuds. just like that. And then we're going to put the lower legs on. Now, the lower legs are two different lengths. All right, the shortest one will go on the inside curve of the slide. Now, there's a hole drilled in the end of there's a hole drilled in the end of the leg. That hole goes toward the slide, just like that. Okay, short one on the inside, the longer one on the outside. Now, what you want to do, without putting a lot of tension on those spuds, is to go ahead and gently flip the slide over and then place the short legs on the deck, just like that. Great. Now the two rear legs are exactly the same lengths, and you slip those over those leg spuds the same, with the hole going up, just like that. Now that slide should be able to stand on its own. Next step is to go ahead and get the ladder. The ladder is directional. You'll notice at the bottom of the ladder there are some little holes that you can use to anchor the ladder to the deck. Okay, with the right end going up, you simply slip it up. Now, if you notice the other guy here, he's got his back to it, holding the legs. Gently lift it up, and then slip the slide into the slots, just like that. Now the other guy can just take it and give it a good pull, just like that, and seat that ladder in there. Great. All right, the next step in the installation process is to attach the handrails to the slide. Now what you're going to want to do, it really helps to do it in the order that we're going to show you. So you're going to take a spacer. Now you'll note that on the end of the spacer, let me zoom in just a little bit, there's the rounded edge. Now that rounded edge goes toward the rail every time. Okay. Now you take the longer of the two spacers and take the longest bolt, that's the 12-inch bolt, slip it through the rail, and then slip it through the spacer. Helps to look at the other end to see where the bolt's coming out, like that. And then at the top of the rail, at the top of the slide, there is a hole. Slip it in. Then you're going to take a lock washer, a flat washer, and a nut in that order, and just slip them over the extended bolt, and then hand tighten it on. Now, just put it on 2 or 3 turns, just enough to hold the nut on, because you're going to need that. You need to wiggle this around quite a bit. You need the extra room. All right, the second one, take the shorter spacer and a medium-sized bolt, slip it through, same way. All right, then there's a hole in the ladder. Slip it through and repeat the process. It's a flat washer, a lock washer, a flat washer, and then the nut. Again, just a couple of turns, enough to hold the nut on. Okay, then you've got a short bolt, and what you're going to do is going to put a lock washer, then a flat washer, and you go behind the ladder, and slip it into the end of the rail, just like that. All right. Now, in order to get the top of the rail into the top of the slide, you're going to need to get that ladder at approximately 15 degrees to start out with. So kick it back and use your angle finder and get that just about 15 degrees. Doesn't have to be perfect at this time, but just about like that. That helps that, let me back up a little bit, that helps that top of the handrail fit into the top of the slide. Now once it's in the hole in the top of the slide, again you take a locking washer, a flat washer, and slip it over the bolt. Up under the slide there's a little hole. Now this is a little bit tricky. You align the hole with the end of the rail and go ahead and hand tighten it in. Okay, we take our wrench, go ahead and snug it up a little bit. Okay, the next step is to align the flume. Now what we want is a smooth, even transition on that sliding surface. As you can see, it's quite a bit out right now. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Okay, now what you want to do is just grab a hold of the flume and pick it up so you've got a nice smooth alignment like that. Then it helps to take a pair of vice grips, reach up underneath toward the center and clip it on. And then you're going to take your wrench and just reach under there and tighten up all 6 bolts. Yeah, just like that. We'll do all 6 bolts. Okay, now the slide is in its final position on the deck. What you want to do is put the 4 deck flanges on. All you have to do is lift up the leg and then just slide it on. Just like that. There you go. Now take your slope finder and make sure that the ladder is at 15 degrees. All right. Then you take your pen and you mark the ladder, the holes for the ladder for the deck anchors onto the deck. Then you take your slope finder and you make sure that each of the 4 legs is plumb. Just like that. Great. Now once that leg is plumb, what you want to do is take your drill and put a 1/4 inch bit in it, in through the large 3/8 hole. You want to go ahead and drill through the leg. Okay, only drill halfway, then go around to the other side and drill another 1/4 inch hole. Great. Now take your pen. Oh, excuse me. We're going to take the bolt and anti-seize. Then take a flat washer. And then let me zoom in a little bit. There's a little spacer, just like that. Slip it over the bolt. And then slip it through the 3/8 inch hole. Just like that. Now you take another flat washer, and the nut is a little locking nut. Now make sure you put anti-seize on that bolt. And take your wrench and go ahead and snug it up. There you go. And then repeat the process for the other 3 flanges. Now what you want to do is take your pen and then mark through the flange the 4 holes for the deck anchor bolts. Yeah, you do that for all 4. Okay, then what you want to do is go up onto the leg spud. Now if you've positioned it correctly, the hole that's already in the leg will be facing out. If not, just go ahead and drill either a little pilot hole or use a self-tapping screw. You want to drill through the leg into the spud, just like that. And you do that for all 4 legs. And that completes that part of the installation process. Now, at the end of this, we're going to show you how to actually drill the holes for the deck anchors. Okay, once the deck flanges have been secured to the deck correctly, the next step is to hook up the water supply. Now, we've provided you with 10 feet of flex hose. And what you want to do is slip that hose up the right side of the ladder through the holes that are already there, just like that. And then under the bottom of the slide, there's a female fitting. What you do is you put PVC glue on the fitting and the hose, and simply slip the hose into the fitting, just like that. Great. Now, in addition, we provided you with a ball valve. Now, it really helps to put that ball valve somewhere between the slide and the water stub up so that you can control the water flow to the slide. And then you take the end of the hose and you hook that to the water stub up. And this completes the installation process. This is how we do the anchor bolts for the city slide. What you do is you take the leg support flanges and you use them as a template to mark the holes for the anchor bolts, just like that. And you do the same thing for the ladder. Use the ladder as a template. And what you're going to need for the leg supports is a hammer drill and a 1/2 inch masonry bit. Now we're going to drill a hole that's 2.5 inches deep. So what we do is we put a little tape on that drill bit so we know how far to drill. You simply just go ahead and drill a hole just like that. You repeat the process for all the other bolt holes. Now make sure you clean out all the debris out of the hole. Sometimes a garden hose or compressed air works well. Then you take a lead shield, you slip it in the hole, and you hammer it in, just like that. Now, before we go ahead and lag those down, we're going to have to drill the holes for the ladder holes, which are a little bit smaller. So we'll get right to that. Now the anchor bolts for the ladder are much smaller. What you want to do is get a 1/4 inch masonry bit, and you want to mark it at 2 inches. Like, again, put a little piece of tape on there. That's how deep we want to drill. And then go ahead and, well, we've already marked the holes with the ladder. So then you just take the drill, drill that 1/4 inch hole. Again, remove the debris from the holes. Yeah, you repeat that process for the other side. Then you take your anchor bolt, you put a nut on it, stick it in, and hammer it down until it hits the bottom of the hole. Great. Then you take the nuts off. Okay, so now what you do is you put the slide, position it over the deck anchors, just like that. And then for the feet, what you're going to do is you take the lag bolt and you put a flat washer on it and simply screw them down into the lead anchors. And what you do is use your wrench and go ahead and just torque them down nice and firm, but don't over tighten them. And you repeat that process for all the holes for the legs. Then the ladder is sitting over that, so then you put on top of it a flat washer and a nut and go ahead and tighten it down just like that till they're nice and firm. And that's how we do it.